I pushed my dorm room door open, my shoulders sagging under the weight of a long day. With a thud, I dropped my backpack onto the floor, the sound loud in the small space. "Home sweet home," I muttered. I glanced at my desk where textbooks and half-finished assignments lay in disarray. I'm a pre-med student paying my own way through school by working as a phlebotomist at the university hospital. Ignoring the chaos, I went to the shared mini-fridge for an energy drink to fuel my evening study session and chase away the exhaustion. There was a half-eaten container of takeout, a yogurt, a few condiments, and, where were all my energy drinks? I frowned as I reached in, searching for the familiar cans on my shelf. I could have sworn I stocked up last week, I mused. With a resigned shake of my head, I scanned the shelves once more, hoping to unearth a can among the leftovers and solitary yogurt. No such luck. Great, I huffed, closing the fridge door with more force than necessary. Just me, my textbooks, and a sad little yogurt. The thought of studying without a caffeine boost sent a wave of fatigue washing over me. "Well, Sarah," I said to the empty room, "it looks like it's just you and your willpower tonight." I couldn't stop thinking about it, though. I went to the fridge again and tried to reconcile the empty shelf with my previous inventory. "Ugh, Jenny," I grumbled about my roommate. She must have thought they were up for grabs. The idea of my more financially secure roommate casually raiding the fridge without a second thought sent a ripple of frustration through me. I slammed the fridge door shut. "Great, just great. Focus, you need to study." I shook my head to dispel the image of my roommate basking in her spoils. "All right, plan of attack," I said aloud. First up, I picked up my biology textbook. Let's tackle human physiology before I lose all sense of reason over those stupid drinks. Still, my eyes drifted back to the fridge. Maybe I should just put a lock on it, I joked to myself. Or set up a phlebotomy fund. Every time someone takes a drink, they owe me a pint of blood. I chuckled, breaking the tension, and I let out a deep breath, ready to dive back into my notes. Just think of it as a game, I told myself, the ultimate study challenge. Sometime later, my eyelids fluttered. Words on the page blurred together. Fatigue had crept in. Just one more section, I told myself. I struggled to keep my focus. But as I read the same line for the third time, my mind drifted again, back to that fridge, tauntingly empty. My head dipped low, resting on the open textbook, and within moments, the rhythmic ticking of my desk clock faded away, replaced by the gentle hum of sleep. When I stirred, I blinked slowly, taking in the familiar surroundings, the sight of my desk, now a chaotic jumble of papers and pens, and the mini-fridge still standing, mockingly silent. "Ugh, not again," I groaned, pushing myself upright. The textbook slipped from the desk, landing with a thud on the floor. Rubbing my eyes, I fought against the grogginess overcoming me. Some serious adulting is required here. With a yawn, I got up from my desk, padded over to my closet, rummaging through until I found my favorite pajamas. After tying my hair up in a quick bun, I paused, casting one last glance at the fridge. Its door stood firmly shut, concealing the shelf of missing cans that had become the centerpiece of my frustration. "Jenny, you owe me a drink." I called out to the empty room, knowing my roommate was likely off enjoying a night of freedom somewhere else. I turned to my bunk. "Tomorrow," I promised myself, drifting towards slumber. "Tomorrow, I'll have a plan." Several days passed. I was in my dorm room studying again, this time while sipping one of my favorite drinks. The door swung open with a soft creak. Jenny, my roommate, burst in. Her blonde hair bounced cheerfully as she hummed some catchy tune. "Hey, Sarah," she chirped, her energy somehow radiating in the small space. I wasn't ready for this kind of enthusiasm when I felt like I'd run a marathon. She glided over to the fridge, and pulled out one of my precious energy drinks. "Isn't it just the best day?" she said, as she cracked open the can with a popping sound that filled our room. The sound was both satisfying and infuriating. I stood there trying to process what I was witnessing. "Jenny," I finally managed, my voice coming out sharp, "are you seriously taking my drinks again?" I tried to keep my tone light, but I could feel the exasperation creeping in. My eyes followed her as she took a long sip, a blissful smile spreading across her face. "Come on, Sarah," she said, waving her free hand dismissively at me. "You know I'll replace them. It's just a drink." "That's not the point," I countered, my patience hanging by a thread. I knew I had to keep it together. Losing my cool would only make things worse. "It's about budgeting, Anne." "Budgeting? Oh, come on," she interrupted. "How much can those cans cost? You're going to be just fine." "Fine? Fine isn't the word I'd use. It's not just about money, Jenny. It's about respect for each other's space and things." "Respect?" she said, raising an eyebrow playfully. "I thought we were all about sharing here in dorm life. Isn't that the whole point of living together?" "Sharing is one thing," I huffed, "but raiding my stash without asking is something else entirely." She shrugged, a carefree grin still on her face, and I realized our conversation was spiraling into familiar territory. I could sense her thoughts. "It's just a drink, I'm sure she has plenty, why is she so wound up?" "Look," I said, "could we agree on some boundaries? Just let me have my energy drinks for once." Sure, she replied. She wasn't convincing. "Seriously, every time you take one without asking, it messes up my routine. I mean, I rely on those to power through late-night study sessions after work. They're not just drinks, they're part of my strategy for surviving pre-med." "Strategy? Wow." She chuckled, sipping again, as if I'd just revealed my secret plan to take over the world. "You act like I'm stealing your lunch money. It's just some drinks. It's not like I raided your secret stash of cookies or anything." "Right," I replied, forcing a chuckle that barely masked my frustration. "But those drinks are part of my study routine. They help keep me awake when I'm knee-deep in textbooks." I gestured at the pile of notes spread out on my desk. "Well, I mean, if you really want them back," Jenny shrugged, her carefree demeanor unshaken. "I'll get you some next time I'm out shopping." "Promise?" "Promise?" I echoed, raising an eyebrow. "You know that means they might never show up, right? Hey now, don't be all doom and gloom." "I totally will." She flipped her hair over her shoulder and plopped down on my bed. "Look," I continued, my mind racing to find a better way to communicate. "How about we set some actual rules? A system for sharing food. That way, you won't feel guilty, and I won't feel robbed." "Rules?" she laughed, shaking her head as if I had suggested we start a knitting club. "Who needs rules? We're roommates." I gave her a long look. "Okay, fine. I'll think about it, all right," she said, finally sitting up straight, her tone switching slightly more serious. Thinking was a step forward, I suppose, but I couldn't shake the feeling I needed a different plan. Something more effective than heartfelt pleas. I lay in bed that night, wide awake, doing some strategic thinking. The confrontation with Jenny played on repeat in my mind. Her carefree laughter echoed, mixing with the sound of her cracking open the last of my energy drinks. It was all a joke to her. I could picture her flipping her hair and laughing, completely oblivious to the chaos brewing in my head. Maybe I just need to hide my drinks, I mused. My mind leapt to the small box tucked beneath my bed where I kept my snacks hidden for midnight munchies. If I stashed the energy drinks there, they'd be safe from Jenny's grasp. I imagined Jenny's bewildered expression when she realized the fridge was devoid of her favorite source of energy. I'd teach her a lesson about boundaries. The next night, after a long shift at the hospital, I slipped on my coat and grabbed my keys. It was Friday, payday, so I took a detour to the convenience store near my dorm. As I pushed through the door, I inhaled deeply, greeted by a medley of scents, freshly brewed coffee mingling with the sweetness of candy bars. I turned to the energy drink aisle. Surely, there was something new here that would jumpstart my brain. A bright splash of neon caught my eye, a section of electrolyte powder packets. I had an epiphany. What if I reached for a packet? Maybe this was the clever twist I needed to tackle my roommate problem. With a sly grin creeping onto my face, I imagined the possibilities. A sprinkle of mischief might be exactly what I needed. I grabbed a few packets, then turned back to the energy drinks. Just as I reached for a particularly eye-catching can, a familiar voice chimed in. "Hey, Sarah. Long night of studying ahead?" Mike stood behind the counter, his easy smile bright. "More like a long week," behind me, I replied. "You know how it is, classes, hospital shifts and late-night cram sessions. Tiring and lack of sleep." He leaned forward, resting his elbows on the counter. "I've had my fair share of those. What's been keeping you up? Is it the roommate drama again?" "Ugh, yes. It's like living with a tornado. Last night, she decided the room needed a deep clean at midnight. I woke up to her blasting music while she dusted around my head." "Who does that? Have you talked to her about it?" "It's like attempting to reason with a stubborn cat. When I bring something up, she acts like I'm asking her to give up chocolate or something equally heinous." "Chocolate? Now that's crossing the line," he joked. "You might need to be more direct. Maybe try an ultimatum. Either she reduces the volume or you start your own 2 a.m. rave party." Ha! I could just imagine her reaction. "Oh no, Sarah's throwing a dance party without me." I laughed, picturing her face. It was hard not to appreciate the absurdity of it all. "You're right, though. I need to come up with a plan before I go bonkers." "Just remember, every good plan starts with caffeine," Mike said, nodding sagely. "Or in your case, maybe some electrolytes." He pointed at the packets I was holding. I glanced over at the energy drink selection again, then back at him. "Do you ever feel like we should start a support group for stressed-out college students?" "Only if we can serve snacks," he replied. "Deal." I smiled, feeling lighter than I had when I walked in. As I turned back to the shelves, my mind whirled with possibilities, not just about drinks, but about how to tackle my living situation. "Let me know if you need anything else," Mike called after me. A few minutes later, as I checked out, I was working out a secret grand plan I didn't dare even tell Mike about. "Game on," I whispered, feeling mischievous. As I kicked the door shut behind me, my eyes darted to the mini fridge, now a source of irritation. I placed the cans of energy drinks on my desk. Just a little transformation, nothing too wild. Let's see what a little makeover can do. I popped open the first can. The fizzy hiss rallied me for my mission. I poured the liquid in a pitcher, then repeated the process 5 more times. The next step, stealth mode. I capped the pitcher and placed it in my wardrobe, arranging my sweaters around it. Out of sight, but not out of mind. On to phase 2. I grabbed the bright blue packets of electrolyte powder. The smell of citrus wafted up as I tore one open. I poured the powder into a measuring cup, then filled it with water, watching as the powder swirled in the liquid. I stirred it until a satisfying shade of neon yellow emerged, reminiscent of the energy drinks I had just liberated from their cans. It looked just like the concoction Jenny would normally guzzle down, a near-perfect replica, minus the carbonation and caffeine. With the first batch of mixture ready, I poured the electrolyte mix into the empty cans. I admired my work, 6 shiny vessels of deception lined up neatly on my desk. Now came the tricky part. I pried the tabs back up, added a little food-grade glue, then plugged in my hairdryer. My hands moved with precision as I worked, sealing the cans. I couldn't help but smile at how surreal the whole scenario felt. Who knew that playing the role of a secretive beverage chemist would become part of my college experience? Once the last can was done, I let out a deep breath. Just like new. I carefully arranged the cans in the mini fridge, positioning them just so. Now, let's see who gets the last laugh. Even though it was Friday night, and I'd already finished work, I returned to my studies, the anticipation of my clever plot simmering beneath the surface. As I sat there wondering if Jenny would even return that night, other run-ins with her flashed through my mind. There was the time she borrowed my favorite sweater without asking and returned it with a large coffee stain right on the front. She'd laughed it off, flashing that charming smile of hers, and I found myself giggling. How did she do that? And how could I forget her infamous, spontaneous dance party moment? She'd cranked up the music one night while I was trying to study, twirling around our small dorm room like a whirlwind of energy. I'd tried to resist her enthusiasm, but by the end, I was dancing too along with half our floor. But it wasn't all fun and games. Jenny's carefree attitude sometimes crossed lines. Once, she had invited half our floor over for a pizza night without a word to me. I came in from work to find the room in disarray, the remnants of greasy pizza boxes scattered everywhere, and Jenny blissfully unaware of the chaos she'd created. Focus. I whispered to myself, tapping my pencil against the desk in a light rhythm. I could picture Jenny's first sip, her eyebrows knitting together as she wondered why her favorite energy drink tasted oddly lemony. Maybe she'll think they changed the recipe, I thought. The soft snick of Jenny's key in the lock interrupted my thoughts. I turned in my chair, a grin spreading across my face. In just a few moments, I hoped to find out if my cleverness paid off or if I'd have to think of new ways to outsmart my roommate. I couldn't wait to see what unfolded. "Hey, Sarah," she called out. She made a beeline for the mini fridge. "Aha," she exclaimed as she grabbed right for a can. She glanced back at me as if to ask for permission, but she said nothing. I tried my best to suppress a smile. She cracked it open and raised the can to her lips dramatically, seeming to relish the moment. "Cheers," she said. Please let it be awful, I thought. My fingers tapped on the edge of my textbook, my excitement building. She had no idea what was coming. She took a hearty swig. I watched her eyes light up with satisfaction before she swallowed. Oh yes, this was the moment I'd been waiting for. Then it happened. In an instant, her expression morphed from blissful enjoyment to utter horror. Her eyes widened, and her mouth dropped open as if to scream, but instead, she sputtered and turned sharply toward the wastebasket beside her desk. The contents of her mouth flew out like an exclamation point, a bright arc of liquid splattering into the trash. "Ugh! What is this?" she gasped, her face contorting. It was priceless. The pure shock and disgust played across her features as she held the can away from her like it was a live grenade. "Is something wrong?" I asked, feigning innocence while stifling a laugh. I watched her inspecting the can as if it held the secrets of the universe, or perhaps just a really terrible flavor. I couldn't resist teasing her, but I kept my tone light and concerned. "Maybe it's one of those new flavors?" "New flavor? This tastes like regret in a can," Jenny exclaimed dramatically. I struggled again to suppress a giggle. She was so animated, acting as if she had just tasted something truly vile. "Seriously, what happened to this drink? Did you slip something in it? Is this some sort of elaborate prank on me?" "Me? Prank you?" I looked up, feigning innocence. I waited a beat, then gave myself up. "Jenny, darling, maybe it's time you stick to your own drinks. You know how I feel about sharing." She stared at me wide-eyed. Shaking the drink can in my direction, she called out, "This is betrayal in a can. You little prankster. Hey, I just thought maybe it'd teach you a lesson about swiping my stash." Okay, she finally admitted. Guilty as charged. "I've definitely been raiding your shelf of the fridge more often than I'd like to admit. Maybe next time, try asking instead of assuming they're yours." Point taken. I promised to stop the indiscriminate pilfering. Deal. I owe you a drink or 2, or 12. Just let me know which flavors you want, and I'll get them. I leaned back in my chair and watched Jenny as she settled onto her bed. She glanced at the can of energy drink, now sitting ominously on her desk like some villain from a cheesy horror flick, and shook her head with mock exasperation. "Who knew you were such a master prankster?" she teased. "Just trying to keep you on your toes," I replied. "Serious question," she said after a moment, her voice softly teasing again. "How do you manage to look so put together while drowning in textbooks?" "Natural talent, obviously," I quipped, puffing out my chest dramatically. "And caffeine, lots of caffeine." Ah, yes, the true backbone of academia, she replied, chuckling. You're practically a walking advertisement for an energy drink. Trust me, I'd rather be a poster child for fruit smoothies, I shot back. Honestly, Jenny, it's not just about drinks. It's everything. I work hard for what I have. Every penny counts. When you took those drinks without asking. You're saying this is about money? Like, actual money? Yes, I pay for my groceries, my tuition, my board. Everything, myself. And when things go missing, it adds up. I didn't think about it that way. I thought we were just having fun. Fun is great, but it can't come at someone else's expense. I grew up in a foster home where we stretched every dollar. If I wanted something, I had to earn it. Seriously? You had to work for all your stuff? Yeah, I nodded. I learned how to make do with what I had. Honestly, it's just about being practical. I've seen too many people take things for granted. Like me, Jenny admitted. I'm sorry, Sarah. I promise to be more respectful of your stuff, and your hard work. No more assuming you'll provide for us both, okay? Deal. In my defense, I've always thought about things differently. Growing up, we had this big house with a pool and a backyard kitchen. My parents treated it like a backyard buffet. Anything you wanted, you just grabbed. Sarah raised an eyebrow. So, you never had to think twice about spending money? Not really, Jenny said. My mom always said, life's too short to worry about a few bucks. And honestly, I took that as a license to be a little reckless. I felt a warmth spread through me. There was something comforting about sharing these snippets of our lives, like two puzzle pieces finally fitting together.